Welcome to the Amplified CEO with VC and serial entrepreneur Richard Stroupe.
So I have to say the podcast that we did a few months ago really kind of like got me more interested in doing more guest speaking on podcasts because I love being on this side of the table.
Yeah,
I think we talked about, like, I hate talking about myself, but
yes,
I love talking about other people and learning about their businesses and their backgrounds and what made them successful and, you know, what are they working on today. Obviously their thoughts on technology and trends, but your podcast was great. And of course I've been watching more of your podcast.
well, thank you.
But how did you get into it? Like what prompted you to kind of start your own podcast series and invite some of the folks that you have on your show?
It's definitely a silly story, but I was listening to a lot of podcasts, and specifically I was listening to Joe Rogan a lot.
He's great. Yeah.
And what it came down to, I was like, Joe learns something every day. You know, he's always talking to somebody different. He's doing a deep dive into things that are interesting to him, and he gets to learn stuff and meet cool people. And so I don't know why I was like, man, it would just be really neat to be able to do something like that. And this was right as I was transitioning and starting Capone Associates. And then someone just kind of said, Chris, you should really do a podcast, and I've got a studio and a production team, and like, let's give it a shot. And so I started about 3 years ago. And turns out it's actually a great thing for marketing as well, you know,
yes.
and networking.
Yeah.
And so, you know, I get to interview a bunch and the thing that I deep dive on with everybody is generally around leadership and like community development and community impact and just showcasing people here local in Wilmington. And so I talk to people that are, you know, work for nonprofits or work in, you know, municipal roles or other founders and CEOs and leaders. So,
yeah. No, it's interesting to have those type of conversations, even for your own self. Because like somebody asked me, is like, oh, are you making any money on your podcast? I'm like, no. But for me, it's more than that. It's having conversations, recording it digitally, and I can go back and listen to it myself. Yeah. It's like, oh man, that discussion was so cool. I want to go back and listen to it again.
Yes, yes.
Kind of an archive of cool people and cool conversations.
Yeah, and I've done 62 episodes.
Wow.
So, I mean, you know, that's 62 people that I've got to sit down with and get to know them more as a person, but also hear their story. And it's been really fun.
I think at some point in the future, the way AI is moving, that the content that we're recording could be used for other things in the future. We just don't know yet.
Yeah, that's a good point.
But I know Chris and I talk about it a lot. Like, wow, you know, all this content that we're generating, you know, it could, you know, be coming some LLM and that could be used for business lessons learned and, you know, best practices and conversations about Wilmington. You just never know.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Well, that's great. So how do you book your guests? Like, do you go through an agency to kind of like scout and recruit people, or how do you go through that process?
It's all just been within my network, like, and very organic. Like, you know, for example, like being involved with a network for entrepreneurs in Wilmington, you know, and Jim Roberts, and I've been to a couple events, and you were one of the guest speakers at one of the deep dives like a year or two ago.
I remember that
at the CIE.
Yeah.
And I mean, that's pretty much how I book everybody is like, it's someone that I'll interact with in daily life. Or see, you know, and want to be able to interact with them.
Yeah.
And I'll
that you find interesting.
Yeah. And I'll just reach out and say, hey, here's who I am, you know, here's what I'm doing, and, you know, would love to interview you.
Yeah.
Most people I kind of already have some type of relationship with, so it's not like I'm completely cold calling or, you know, but yeah, it's just, you know, people that I kind of know or know of already in the community. Yeah,
I know we were talking before we started recording, but I know you enjoy doing the interviewing on your podcast, but how many guest spots have you been on other podcasts? Is that something you're more interested in as well? Or?
Well, you know, coming in here, I was like, man, it's kind of nice to be on this side of the table because I could just relax and just roll with it. I've been on 2 other podcasts. One was with Leith HR Group. They've got one called HR Nightmares. And I was talking with Andy and Lisa. I was like, man, you should get a finance guy on there, because in a lot of small businesses that don't have HR, like HR just falls onto finance. And so I could probably sympathize or empathize and tell you some funny stories. So they had me on, which was really nice.
That's great.
Really nice film. And then I did one virtually just like right when I was starting my business, and that didn't really get any.
Yeah, it's a better experience when you're here together.
100%.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah. So what podcast do you like to listen to?
So I've been going pretty deep on Lex Friedman recently.
Yeah.
A lot on the AI stuff.
Yeah.
And specifically anything that Jensen Huang is on, the NVIDIA CEO.
Yeah.
Any podcast he's on, I'd listen to, because he's just Acquired. I don't know if you know.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, the Acquired stories are so cool.
Yeah, the way they frame it and how they discuss it, it's really nice.
Yeah, so I like Acquired, and then obviously I mentioned Joe Rogan. Those are like the three main ones that I listen to, and then people will like send me some stuff here and there. I've been listening to it a couple of years, getting of the Elevate.
Oh, really?
Yeah, trying to get ready.
Cool.
But what's funny is I don't really. I have to kind of force myself to listen to my own podcast, because it's weird to hear yourself talk and you're like, man, you sound like a fool. But I tell myself it's like, if you want to get better, you've got to listen and give yourself some constructive criticism and like figure out how to be a little bit better. So
yeah, I'm exactly the same. Every time I listen to a podcast, I sound goofy. Like when I listen to myself, I'm like, oh my God, you sound weird.
Well, I think you sound really good, because when I re-listened to ours, I was like, dang, he killed it. This is awesome.
Yeah, I listened to that one. When you posted it, I went through the whole thing, because if you remember, like that was the very first one I was a guest on, and
I didn't realize that.
Yeah, well, I'm sorry, Krista's podcast.
Yes,
the one that we talked about some of the things I did here.
Yeah.
But like one that really kind of focused my background, and some of the engineering stuff. It's hard to talk about. It's hard to articulate, and obviously there's some things you can say, and there's some things that you really don't want to say, but you'd like to. But you have to be careful. And how you say it, but
well, I mean, your story and your background, and remembering back, like I think the thing that was like really cool for you to talk about was after you exited your first business, like what you go through as a person, and like having your identity tied to being this entrepreneur and this business owner, and then it goes away. Like that's not something that you learn in a textbook. That's not something like that's just real life experience. So I appreciate you opening up and talking about that.
Yeah,
that was cool.
We talked about what imposter syndrome and how that comes out of nowhere. And of course, I wrote a post on LinkedIn recently about it.
I saw it. Yeah.
And some people are like, "Oh, great! It must be a good problem to have." I'm like, "Well, yeah, but it's different, because different people handle situations differently, and you just don't know until you get into it, and it can be very disruptive to your mental health and your outlook on what you want to do next."
Exactly.
Yeah. So, but luckily we have outlets like this and opportunities to have cool discussions and with like-minded individuals. So.
Yeah, definitely.
So tell me, I know you graduated from UNC Wilmington, and you got your bachelor's and master's in accounting, which, by the way, props to you. I took some accounting classes in college. I'm like, cool. Yeah, it's good stuff.
Thank you.
But you started out doing consulting after graduation, right?
Consulting would be a nicer way, or a more fun way. I was an auditor.
Okay.
So
you're one of those guys.
Yeah, I was an auditor for financial statement audits, like auditing a publicly traded company so that they can release their financials, and so that's where I started, was with Deloitte as in the audit group.
Got it.
And
how did you land that job? Was that, were you recruited at UNC Wilmington?
Man, it was.
Yeah.
And so when I was trying to figure out what I wanted to do, I remember, so my dad has always been in sales. He was a sales executive. And when I was going to college and trying to figure out what I should study, he was like, "Christopher, you should study finance or accounting, because generally speaking, the guys that are leading organizations, they have a pretty good handle on finances and numbers, right?
Right.
Generally speaking, right? There's obviously some situations where that's not the case. But so I was like, all right, cool. And, I was always good at math. I was good at science. I was not like artistic, although, I could play some musical instruments, but like logic and reason is me. Right. Mm-hmm. And so accounting, I took those accounting classes and I was like, this is like, it was fun to say, like, and I was good at it. And what was so great, so getting to the role with Deloitte is UNCW has this program where, if you pretty much put in the work and go through the process, when I was going through school, like you were guaranteed a job. So they had all the firms come to UNCW. So they had this program. And so, it was meet the firms. And then after meet the firms, you would schedule interviews. And this was for an internship. So I graduated in 3.5 years so that I could do an internship in my spring semester of my senior year.
Wow.
And so went and worked for Deloitte and got to see like a real busy season, January through mid-March.
Oh yeah, it's high season. Yeah.
And I was getting paid $25 an hour plus overtime. So I was working these 70-hour weeks and I was like, man, this is like, I'm like raking in some money, and also getting the experience. So did that. And then when I finished my internship, they offered me a full-time job. They said, go get your master's and then come work with us in a 1.5 years. I was like, man, this is awesome. I've got a job lined up already. I can go and like have fun at school and focus on the CPA exam. So I did the CPA exam while I was in grad school, so that by the time I graduated, I was, just ready to go to work. And
that's fantastic.
Yeah, it was a really good path.
Did they help offset some of the cost of your master's, or did you pay that?
No, I paid that, but I was able to I had in-state tuition because I was also a teaching. I also taught an accounting computer class, and so they were able. So, my grad school tuition was probably the best bang for buck. Like, it's a 1-year program. Right. It was under $10,000 at that point in time.
Yeah, that's great.
And graduated with a good job. So
that's fantastic. Yeah. Now, are you from North Carolina originally, or?
No, I found Wilmington through UNCW.
Okay.
I was born in Washington, D.C.
Okay.
And like in D.C., but we lived just outside of D.C. in Silver Spring, Maryland.
Oh, yeah. Got it. Silver Spring.
Similar, you know that.
Yeah, we talked about that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then when I was 7, we moved to Northern California.
Okay.
And I grew up in Northern California in the Bay Area from 96 to about 2004. And so I was there during like the .com. I was young, so I didn't really like understand it all, but I was there during that time. Yeah, which was a pretty wild time in the Bay Area.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, lots of change and disruption.
Oh my gosh,
technology leadership.
Yeah. And then when I was 15, so I finished my freshman year in high school in California, we moved back to Baltimore, and did my last 3 years of high school in Baltimore, and came to UNCW.
Yeah, is that where your family's from, Maryland area? Or?
Yes. Okay. Yeah, my mom's, they're from Ohio, Cleveland area. My dad was born in Philly, but he grew up in Baltimore County. Okay. So when we moved back to Baltimore, that was like going home for my dad.
Got it.
My grandparents lived there. He went to elementary, middle, high school there. So it was like it was basically like going home.
Yeah, one of the best experiences I had, like going to a Major League Baseball game, is in Baltimore.
Oh yeah.
Just being there. I mean, Fenway is great. In Boston, it's a whole different experience. But the Baltimore Orioles Stadium is beautiful.
Yep.
Yeah, it's awesome.
And when I was growing up, like Cal Ripken and all that stuff, like everybody knows like the Baltimore Orioles. I think for the most part, it's like one of those, like the Yankees and the Red Sox and the Orioles. Like people know those teams.
Yeah. Did you go to any sports games out in California when you were growing up? Or?
We went to, I was able to go to a couple Raider games. Okay. And man, Oakland, California, like the blue collar, like Oakland Raiders fans. Oh man, it's just so much fun. A's games, Giants games. I went to the San Jose Sharks games. Like a couple of those, but yeah, mostly Oakland A's games. Okay. Because like it was affordable. Yeah, and like, there's 100 games a year you could go to, Yeah. So
we had a couple who attended our Elevate conference back in March from California.
Okay.
And they had a contract. They were working with the Oakland Raiders.
No way.
They were developing like these AV desk effectively. They're like furniture, but they're for computer equipment. And they were, the Raiders were recording, obviously, a lot of analytics and video on the field. So they'd have to have special equipment. And this company was based out there, and they built them racks. And
how'd they find you?
Through LinkedIn.
No way. That's awesome, man.
Yeah, through LinkedIn.
That's so cool.
It's been tough trying to recruit people to come here, North Carolina.
Yeah.
But it's like we have a little infrastructure. It's like it's cool, and it's good to meet folks like that. But yeah, they were talking about their relationship with the Raiders and the 49ers, and how the Raiders moved to Vegas, and it kind of sucked for Oakland and all the fan base.
Yeah.
Do you get back to California a lot, or?
My brother and sister live in San Diego.
Okay.
So we go out quite a bit, and that's a great place to go and visit.
Oh yeah, San Diego's beautiful.
And then it's nice to come back to Wilmington, so I get to go out there, and I was trying to figure out how to open a Capone Associates office in San Diego, but that's maybe in the 10-year plan. Who knows? We'll see.
Absolutely. So transitioning from Deloitte, I know you did some international work as well.
Yep.
That must have been interesting, because you have GAAP accounting here, and some of the accounting standards are a little different overseas.
Yep.
What countries did you visit, and what did you think of that experience?
Man, it was hands down the best experience of my life. I mean, my wife and I got married on October 3rd, 2015, and we moved to Europe for 3 years on October 4th, 2015.
It's like
we didn't have
extended honeymoon.
She keeps asking me, she's like, we never went on a honeymoon. I was like, we lived in Europe for 3 years.
That was a honeymoon.
Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
So we lived in Zurich, Switzerland for 7 months.
Okay.
And so I was working for a company called ABB, which is really big in industrial power and automation. And it's like a conglomerate. They make everything from robots to light switches, and they grew they grew over the year through a lot of M&A stuff. And so it was a really cool company because it was a lot about technology and the Internet of Things and automation in plants, but then also, they would get contracted by a province in China to lay their grid system, so it was just really wild stuff, a highly engineering background.
Right.
Most of the people in leadership were engineers at this company. And so I went to Zurich, and I was working in the corporate controlling office, and they call it business intelligence and analytics. And so it was, wore a suit and tie to work every day. It was my version of being on Wall Street. I'm here in Zurich, Switzerland, just going through working in a corporate job. And my role was basically to support the consolidation and the analysis of all the financial information from product group to business unit to division to region. I mean, there was a matrix reporting. You've got the region, you've got the division, you got the business unit, the product group. So there's a million ways you could slice and dice this information.
Yeah.
And having my audit back. So this was actually a step away from being an auditor, and it was becoming into more of what I would call from accounting to a finance role, where finance was a little bit more, forward-looking, a little bit more focused on, just data analytics and trying to get data to the right decision makers. And man, my background as an accountant, as an auditor, was the best thing. I mean, I remember my first day they asked me to I was reviewing some work papers, and I was given the, for the head of the group who reported to the CFO of the company, the global CFO. And I gave him all these comments, and he was like, Chris, this is really good. So I became the de facto reviewer of presentations, for everybody in this group. Everything from tying out numbers. Hey, this number on slide 15, that doesn't match the number on slide 3. I was doing all my auditor stuff. And they're like, man, I'm glad you caught that, because that was going to the CFO.
Yeah.
So that's where I started.
Yeah, that's great.
And did that. So I was there for 7 months, and it was during the winter time. So we got to go skiing in the Swiss Alps every weekend, you know, from, you know, so the experience, the culture experience, the professional experience. And then it came time for the next role. So I was in the global trainee program. So I specifically hired for this program where so I started in Cary. I was there for 6 months, then to Zurich. And then you take a third rotation, and the whole thing is like, hey, we're going to train you to be, you know, like the next leadership group of the company. And I applaud that. I mean, it's the coolest program. And, but so it came time for my next assignment, and, you know, Germany, Italy, Singapore, you know, all like, you know, these places that every, you know, Americans dream of going to live.
Right.
And then this one opportunity came through, was to go to Bulgaria.
Okay.
And I was like, I went home and I was like, Natalie, pull out the map. We got to find out where Bulgaria is. You know, like I knew generally where it was, but I was like, okay, so it's like Romania's up there and Greece is below and the Black Sea. I didn't know that. We ended up moving to Bulgaria. We were supposed to be there for a year. Ended up staying a little over 2 years.
Was it Sophie?
We were 2.5 hours east of Sofia.
Okay.
In a town called Sevlievo. There were probably like 25 or 30,000 people that lived there. And ABB had a factory there that they had just opened up, and it was all part of like their, you know, cost out initiatives to go to a lower cost country to produce, you know, stuff that was historically manufactured in Switzerland.
Right.
So they had a new factory there. So I got to go and work in an actual manufacturing facility where I was like, you know, learning about lean management and Six Sigma and like operational excellence, all while still doing like an accounting and finance kind of role.
Yeah.
And man, I could talk for, you know, so many great stories and experiences from there.
And how long you were in Bulgaria?
2 years.
2 years?
Yeah.
I have a friend from there.
Do you know where? Sophia?
Sophia. Yeah. So I took this Harvard Business School executive ed program, and his name was Christoph, but he was from Bulgaria.
How cool.
And he'd always say, you know, Richard, you should come to Bulgaria. You'll have a good time.
Yes.
Like, you sound like Dracula. Yeah. That's the way he was talking.
That's so
But
funny.
he was such a cool dude.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We really embraced the culture. Like, you know, we lived in the town in an apartment, really tried to learn the language. And I did, like, I can read and still speak quite a bit of Bulgarian. And man, we made so many great friends, and the people there, they just appreciated us and really treated us as one of their own. And I mean, it was so cool.
That's the thing about European culture. I did some travel too. And when you go to some of these smaller towns, first off, they're very fascinated by America.
Yes.
You know, and the culture of America. And they always want to know, like, tell me about this. What did you think about this? Like, we were in Greece. I was in Greece, and it must have been a year or two around when Bill Clinton went to Greece, and they shut down the Capitol when he was there for security, but of course everybody knew about Bill Clinton. And the first thing they asked me was, and they were speaking Greek, and blah, 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 blah. And like, what did she say? It had a translator. He's like, oh, she wants to know, what do you think about Bill Clinton and Monica Lewinsky? And I'm like, what? What do you mean what I think about it? I mean, you know, what do you want me to think about it? It was kind of weird, you know? It's like,
so funny.
But they pick on stuff, and it's like, they just, you know, want to talk about it. So, but they're also very warm, you know, small towns in Germany and Italy, and they'll, you know, bring you into their house and want to cook you food.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's so different than what you have here.
Yeah.
You know, so.
And like you said, I mean, you know, people all over the world follow American politics, American sports. I mean, so yeah, I know exactly what you're saying.
Yeah.
Your experience.
Yeah. It's American leadership goes a long way. I mean, we take it for granted here, but like, one of the things like I promote young students to do is go international, and just for the exposure, because there's some areas that are different, you know, but they kind of educate you in different ways than what you show here. And then there's also areas that make you appreciate what you have, because I do think like we take a lot for granted here in things that we have. And you go to other places around the world and it's a whole different ball game.
Seriously.
And, it's like, yeah, we have problems here, but they have different kind of problems.
Yeah.
It's like, where's my next meal going to come from?
Yeah.
Or, how can I survive on, basically $500 a month, with inflation. Inflation's worldwide. Everything's expensive. So, it's a different experience.
The town we lived in Bulgaria, during the summer, after, because it would rain a lot during the spring, but towards the end of the summer, there would be, they would turn the water off, and they would have to control the water. And the people that lived there, generally, they had some storage and some tanks. But us, there were days where I wasn't able to take a shower or brush, or I had to use buy a water bottle to brush my teeth, and to flush the toilet had to, pour water in the top. And it's the little things like that, it was, it was part of the experience, but it really makes you appreciate our foundation
and the convenience we have here,
and the convenience factor.
You can go down the street and get Chipotle or any kind of fast food on the spectrum, anything you want. And there's places they don't have that luxury, and it's you just have to eat that. I don't want it. Well, it's the only option.
Take it or leave it, man.
Starve. But that must have been a cool experience.
It was, man. It was so cool. And it's one of those things also, my wife and I, we still talk about it I wouldn't say every day, but almost every day. We're, it's one of those things that we reflect on and talk about.
Right.
And, and we come back, we moved back after 3 years, and and everybody's and we moved back to Wilmington, and everybody's like, how was it? And we're like, it was awesome. It's what more can you say, right? Yeah. It's all right, let's sit down for 5 hours and let me tell you about all this. But it's one of those things that, you can't fully portray the experiences and everything that we got to, be a part of, in a conversation,
Right.
Which is kind of hard, but it's also kind of cool because it's something special for just my wife and I,
Right.
It's we did it together.
Yeah. Did you take any trips while you were stationed in Bulgaria?
Oh, yeah. In Bulgaria, we had a car. So in Switzerland, we just relied on trains and all that. That was amazing. But in Bulgaria, we actually had a car. Every weekend, we were doing something, And our favorite, we did this twice, is we took a week off and we did a road trip through the Balkans. So one time we went Bulgaria, Serbia, Macedonia, Croatia, Montenegro, and back through the former Yugoslav Republic of Macedonia.
Yeah.
These are all countries that growing up, I was where are these places?
Yeah.
That was I think that's probably those road trips, because we just wake up each day and be where are we going to go now?
Yeah. That must have been amazing.
Really cool.
Yeah.
And, and then eating all the local food and, and it just, we would just go to a town and we just walk, for hours.
Right.
And
that's great.
Yeah, it was really cool.
So coming back to Wilmington, when did you decide to start your own company?
So when I came back to Wilmington, I became the CFO for a privately owned smaller business here in Wilmington.
Okay.
So I was the CFO from 2018 to 2022. And so I'd had a legit job for 4 years, and so I didn't start the business until 2022.
Okay.
So,
what prompted you? What was the spark that said, you know what, I'm going to try my own thing?
Going way back, growing up, my dad always said, he's man, I just I'm always trying to figure out how I could be my own boss or have my own business, and it was just little things along the way. And I think that kind of stuck in my head and painted some type of picture of, man, it'd be really cool to, start my own business or be a business owner. So I think that, was always there, but it got to so when I was with my previous employer, it was just kind of it was time for me to move on. The company had grown. I was growing. I wanted some different things, and still have a really good relationship with all the folks over there. But basically, there were obviously some things that frustrated me. And I think, finally Natalie, my wife, she was like, Chris, either shut up or do something about it. Like you can't keep, And so we talked and I was like, man, I'm good at accounting. I don't know what else I'm good at. So maybe I could just try being like a freelance CFO. And again, like we didn't have a kid yet. Like, life was pretty simple. And we were like, hey, if it fails, then I'm a CPA. Like, I'll just go get a job.
Right.
Like, it was really nice knowing that, like, if whatever I wanted to try and do failed, like I was pretty much guaranteed a job,
Absolutely.
Anywhere.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just, wanted to try doing something on my own. And I had helped some friends who had small businesses like with their QuickBooks in the past, and I think I charged them with like $200 or $300 a month or something. I was like, it's like, take Natalie out for a nice dinner or something, But I was like, this could be like a real, business. And so when I left my previous company, I went out and just started like rebranding myself and just networking and going to UNCW. I had somewhat of a network of people here already, and started interviewing not interviewing, but like at these events, I was talking to business owners and other people in the industry, and they're like, man, my finances, they don't make sense, or, I never get them on time, or both. And, and I can't afford to hire somebody and this and that. And so basically I realized, I was like, whoa, there might be a little niche here where, we could just be kind of like an outsourced accounting and fractional CFO department for these small businesses and just help them, keep tabs on their finances.
Yeah.
And, that's kind of how it started. So it was like, I want to do something different. I'm good at accounting. I went out and just started talking with people and, networking. And that was kind of like the market research. That was like, oh, like this could be something. Right. And so.
Yeah. So did you actually have a couple clients already committed before you transitioned to doing it full time? Because typically when somebody wants to start their own company, they're working full time, obviously, to pay their bills.
Yep.
And then kind of starting
moonlighting a little
bit.
bit.
Moonlighting a little, especially professional service side. And then eventually, once you have enough clients, you can then do it full time instead of a part time, kind of a side hustle type moment. But like when you made that transition, did you have enough to sustain your quality of life?
Well, the way I worked it out was with my previous employer. I went to the owner and I said, hey, we'd been talking for months and months and months. Like he knew that, we were very on the same page of like, Chris is probably, needs to go do something else.
Right.
And so I said, hey, I got a proposal for you. Cause he's a deal guy, and he like, basically I put together a proposal. I was like, hey man, you're paying me this. How about you pay me half of that and I'll still generally do everything that I'm doing. But we've got to hire my replacement. And part of what I'm going to be doing for you is training your replacement.
Got it.
So I didn't necessarily have like several clients to sustain. I, utilized my, current employer to say, hey, this is what I'm going to go do. Like, what do you think about this? So I had enough to pay the mortgage, and, just like very basic quality of life stuff. And I was like, all right, now it's time to like really go get to work.
Absolutely. And you bootstrapped everything yourself.
I did.
You never sought outside capital.
Nope. No.
Okay. No need to.
Yeah. And, looking back on it, like, I didn't even think about it. Like, I was like,
I know.
It was just like, oh, I'm just going to go do this. And
well, professional service, because, venture capital, private equity, they love to buy companies with products because of higher margins. And pro-serve companies, they have decent margins, but they're not as healthy, or I would say they're not as profitable as product companies. Yep. There's a lot of churn, a lot more risk, I would say. So, service companies aren't that big for investment size.
Yeah.
But even when I did my own thing, I never thought about raising money or seeking an angel investor. It's like, no, you just put your head down and
just do the
bootstrap
work.
it yourself.
Yeah.
Like, this is your thing, so it's either going to sink or swim. Let's go.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's wonderful. So So you had a couple clients, and you had some 1099 arrangements,
Yep.
independent contractors.
Yep.
When was it you had to delegate and you're like, okay, I've got way too much work on my hands. I need to start hiring employees.
Yep.
What was that transition like?
So the first part of that was, I got to a point where it's like, all right, I can't do any more accounting work. And the quality of the accounting work that I'm doing isn't as good as it could be because I can't be reviewing my own work, So it's like, I've got to get somebody that can do accounting. And that's where I started with some of the independent contractors. Because again, I was bootstrapping it. I was like, I can't afford to hire a full-time person, but hey, I'll just pay you by the hour, or I'll just, here's the monthly fee we're charging them, and we'll, here's the percentage split.
Got it.
So I did that for probably about this all happened really quick. That was about 3 months. And then I was like, it's time to hire a full-time person,
Okay.
And because I had built up enough revenue where I was, comfortable, and I was like, this is an investment. Like, let's just do it. Like, that's what companies do,
Yeah. Let's go.
Let's go.
Yeah.
And so I hired an employee, leased an office like in the same month.
Yeah.
And I was like, all right. So it was like, had this nice office, and there were only 2 people in there. I was like, all right, we got to go get some more clients now, because I just took a huge hit,
Isn't that like the most exhilarating feeling?
So cool.
Like actually starting your own business, hiring people, and getting an office. And
Yes.
then they're all looking at you like, what do we do next? And you're like, I don't know.
I don't know.
I'm still learning as we go.
Put a sign on the building? Like, I don't know.
Yeah. That's awesome.
Yeah.
So fast forward, where are you at today? Like, what's your revenue, top line revenue look like? How many employees do you have?
So we have 25 employees now.
Okay.
All
W-2 or
all
or mixture?
W2.
Okay.
And then we've got 3 independent contractors,
Okay.
2 of which are still like from the very beginning, which is really cool. Because one of them, Mike, he's a retired CFO.
Yeah.
And, he was retired, and, him and I met, and being able to find, and that's like the story is, man, the people that I've been able to bring on board and the people that I've worked with have been part of this. But like Mike, for example, that guy doesn't need to work. He does it because it's fun for him.
Yeah, it's a passion.
And
yeah.
he wants nothing but the best for me. And I'm just very lucky that I've met Mike and people like him, for example, and he's still with me and doing projects. And but so we're at so I've about 25 employees. I've got a vice president of operations. I just hired an executive assistant about a month ago.
Okay.
Which has completely changed my life. My productivity, is just, and she's amazing. We have an operations coordinator, Marissa, and she oversees, so we've got the office space that we lease out as well. So Marissa helps with operations and also with the co-working stuff. And then the rest are accountants. So accountants, accounting managers, controllers, CFOs. So we've only got 4 like true admin, although I'm still doing quite a bit of client service.
Oh, I'm sure.
Which is fine,
Because you probably still enjoy that.
I do. I do. And in some of the key accounts. But we've doubled the business every single year.
Yeah. What's your top line look like?
Our top line is over 300 K a month.
Okay.
Which, is like it's kind of crazy to sit back and think about that.
Yeah, like from the first paycheck.
From the first paycheck.
Yeah. Could have been like 10 or 12K. Now you're doing 300K a month. So, yeah, that's wonderful. How many clients do you service?
We've got about 120 clients.
Okay. That must keep you popping, especially like around tax time.
Oh yeah. And the way that we service our clients is we have teams. So we'll have a fractional CFO as the team leader, and then they'll have controllers, accountants, accounting managers underneath them, and they each oversee a portfolio of clients. And there's a lot of collaboration that goes on between the teams, but generally, like, we don't have someone on this team doing work for a CFO over here. We try to keep it like, it's just operationally and from a quality perspective.
Right. Got it.
And so each team oversees their, book of business.
That's great.
So to speak.
Is it mostly small business, like tax reporting? You still do the fractional CFO things where little monthly reconciliation, payroll, things like that. Do you do any mergers and acquisitions? Any other kind of exotic financial services, or just regular basic?
Yeah, no, we're very, very core to like the bookkeeping in fractional CFO stuff. But the M&A side, we're very, very much involved in. Like, we're not going out and like doing a road show or doing like the true advisory, like investment banking stuff. But when you say M&A, it's like, hey, if you're going to sell your business, you need 3 years of and you want to get the most for your business, right? To optimize your enterprise value. We need 3 good years of clean financials, and we've got to have systems and processes in place so that, one, if you don't sell it, it's going to make you the most money or, generate the most value for you. But, if you do sell, it's going to get you the highest multiple.
Oh, yeah.
So we're involved. So from that side, every business owner has a plan, right? And that's part of what we do when we start is like, hey, yeah, we could do the books, and to be a good CFO, we have to have good data, right? So that's why we do the bookkeeping side. But it's like, where do you see yourself in 5 years, 10 years? Like, what are we trying to achieve here? And that's like that added value. And that's like really when you get into the CFO stuff is like, we're talking about the future and what do we need to do to be able to get you ready to achieve that goal? Yeah. And we've been involved. We've had a couple clients sell their business. We're helping a company get ready to go to market right now. A big company, which is, one of those opportunities that comes together and you're like, wow, we just won that. Like they're relying on us. But we're fully capable. It's like the imposter syndrome, right? It's like they're listening to me. Like what?
Oh yeah.
And we've been doing a heck of a good job for them too, which is cool. Yeah. But so that's the level of M&A that we're involved in, I'd say. And then we've done one thing I'm most proud of is I helped one of my clients restructure all their debt. Literally, they were gonna go bankrupt, like from all sides. And I was able to call through my network. There's an advisory group in Chicago, and we worked this deal out, and we restructured this debt. And like the business is doing really good now because we put $15K a month in free cash flow back into the business.
Yeah, that's wonderful.
So that's we do little things like that as well, and it's fun when you can get a win.
Yeah, totally. So when I was running my professional service in Northern Virginia, we worked with a guy, his name was Dean, very similar to you in your story. He was a CPA, but he was government contract specialist. He just knew it inside and out. And he could handle all the audits, all the financial prep, even when you put proposals together, he could handle the financial volumes and the packages, I guess you could say. And he had, I want to say, about 150 clients. He was stationed in Maryland, so he worked both at Fort Meade and down in Virginia, mostly for the intelligence community companies. But there's a ton of small business, 50 employees or less out there, hundreds. And he would come and do the books. Like we would run payroll, give him the reports, and he would reconcile the payroll and all the financial statements in QuickBooks. And I believe he was charging us, if I can remember, it must have been $1,200 a month, $1,600 a month. And it was like, banger. Like, yeah, man, this is great. I don't have to hire somebody full-time to do this. And they were using QuickBooks Online, so they didn't have access to any of the servers or anything. So it was a good model. And the reason I bring that up is he eventually got into M&A advisory stuff where, because brokers, if you go to a typical financial broker that can handle M&A deals, they charge 2% and 3%. Now, back in the day, it was maybe $300,000-$400,000. Now it could be, $800K to $3 million. There's also a minimum of $750. So it's like, oh my God. But he would kind of say, look, you don't need a broker. If I know some people that would buy you, I know your financials, just pay me $300K and I'll get it done. And a lot of companies are like, done.
Heck, done.
It's like, so he made some bank doing that as well. So it's a good model to be because you're already there. You know, it's like, what do you need an M&A broker for? As long as you can talk the finances and look at the statements and understand.
That people ask me all the time, hey, like, are you guys going to buy a tax practice and roll taxes in? Like, what other services are you going to roll in? and I've been very core to like, from good to great. The hedgehog concept is like, find what you're good at and try to be the best in the world at it. And I think bookkeeping and, fractional CFO services is it for us. But the one that I think about all the time is the M&A piece, because who better to represent your company than the fractional CFO that you've been working with for the past 5 years, right?
Yeah.
But on the other end, I've got a bunch of great advisory partners, and we refer a lot of business together. And at one point, it's just like, hey, like you do it and just kick us a fee or something like that.
Right.
But I don't know. That's one that I'm like serious that in the next couple of years, it'll be interesting to see where it goes. But so. Yeah.
So transitioning from the business of accounting and bookkeeping to running a business, I mean, that's huge.
Yeah.
And your background's not an MBA. Did you decide to go back and take some MBA classes on business strategy operations? Is it more on the job training? Did you do an executive ed? Like, how did you handle that transition from being a service provider of financial services to running a business? Because they're two different things.
Totally. I think that I always like to read like the leadership books. Like even when I was an auditor, like I was reading, like Jim Welch's book. I forget which one it was, but it's basically his whole like philosophy on people and like HR and culture. Or maybe it's Jack Welch, the GE CEO.
Oh yeah, Jack Welch.
Jack Welch, sorry. And then Good to Great, and some of those other books. So I was always like very just like intrigued by leadership. Like I don't know why. Like and it made sense to me. But when I came from ABB to go work for the smaller business here in Wilmington, that's really where I got to test like my entrepreneurial skills and like leadership role, because I was the CFO of this company, but I was also kind of the COO and like the HR guy.
Yeah.
And so like, 4 years there was was a really, really good education, But when I started my own business, I started getting into some executive coaching stuff, and, there's been some people along the way that have helped me reframe stuff from more of like from a leadership and like strategy perspective. And I just listen to a ton of podcasts, and I'm just, it just comes natural to me. Like I like people. I'm very goal oriented, like if you give me a list of stuff to do, like I'm going to try to get it done today, or else I'm going to be stressed out, if I don't, which is, not necessarily a good thing either.
Yeah.
But, a lot of it has come naturally to me, but I've invested in some in some executive coaching and some leadership stuff to really kind of, what are Chris's blind spots? What are my weaknesses? And and just being aware of them.
Yeah.
Has been
just curious. What's your zodiac sign? Like,
I honestly don't know.
Well, what month were you born?
January 30th. Is that Aquarius?
I believe so. Yeah, Capricorn. I think Capricorn ends somewhere like mid to end January.
I think Aquarius.
Yeah, you've got way more Capricorn than Aquarius. So.
Interesting.
Because you look at these things, they're all patterns, you know, and it's just fascinating to look at it. I'm not a big zodiac astrology kind of guy, but it's interesting to kind of learn patterns and how people operate. And there was a book I was one of the classes I took at Purdue for my doctorate. There was a book, and they color-coded people's personalities, like, red, yellow, green, and blue. And it's just fascinating because it pretty much puts everybody in one of those buckets. And it tells you, like, how to operate with them, like what makes them tick. And so it's a leadership book, but, like, how do you operate with these type of personalities?
Definitely.
But, obviously finance, accounting, people with, like, just that kind of ability, I think heavily fall on Virgo and Capricorn, because they're just the business type people.
Yes.
But it's interesting.
Yeah, that is very interesting.
That's a great story. And the other thing I'm really impressed by you is your culture of your company. Because obviously taking a tour, you could tell that this has your signature. Like, your personality kind of comes out in your company. And And I think you've done a good job with that. Just looking at your website, looking at the events you sponsor, how you treat your employees, it shows very well. So I think you've done a great job with that.
Thanks, man. I mean, that's for you to say that means a lot, because that's something that I have put as the number one priority in building this thing. And, I said, hey, we're on pace to break 4 million this year in revenue, but a lot of it does not drop to the bottom line because, of the things I do to invest in our people and our culture, right?
Yeah.
But in the long run, it's the best investment that I can make. I'm especially a professional services firm. Like our ability to grow and continue is a direct product of how many good people we can get to come in and work for the company. So, and man, I really appreciate that. And, and the way that I built it it's just that I'm a normal person. And when I worked for Deloitte and when I worked for ABB and when I worked for this other privately owned company, this was all the stuff that really frustrated me. Right. Why can't we do it this way? And so I've just built it just based on how I think it should be done.
Exactly.
And at the core of it is just, it's all about the people. It's finding the right people and then just giving them just challenging them then.
Right.
But also having the resources and, the tools to be successful, and also an environment where you can come and have fun. I mean, how much time do we spend with our work colleagues?
I know, majority of the week.
Yeah. So it's this should be a place where people want to come.
That's right.
And
I mean, like you said, a professional business, professional service, ProServe, it's a people business.
Yep.
And you have to make people your number one asset.
Yep.
Because if they're happy, then your clients are happy.
Exactly.
Because they're delivering great service with a smile.
Serious? No, 100%.
And they need to have fun. And they need to look forward to coming to work.
Yep.
One of the things I look back growing up with my dad, and he sacrificed a lot for me, but I know he hated his job. I mean, we talked about it sometimes. And I mean, he made the best of it. Like anything in life, you have to make the best of situations that you're in.
Yeah.
But was it enjoyable? Did you actually look forward to getting up every day? Not really. It's oh God, I got to get back to work, And then of course you've got other people that you can commiserate with or have some fun with. But I think it's you're right. If you spend, 40, 50, 60 hours a week, away from your family, you need to make sure that it's rewarding. Not just for the boss and the company, but for you as an individual, either by enriching your life, enriching others' lives, financial compensation, working with others, and just feeling good about it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And I'd say it's just been, a huge priority. But also it's just, I was I want to do this my way, and I want to. I want to have fun every day at work.
Right.
So it's like how much fun can a bunch of accountants have, each day? But we do.
Yeah.
We
Culture is so important.
Yeah.
So your work with small business, can you extrapolate maybe top 3, top 5 issues that you kind of see common issues, and what are some of the things that they can do to kind of avoid those pitfalls?
Definitely. The top things are, my financials don't make sense, or I don't get them timely, or both, which is really bad. And then the other one is the idea of, I've got this much money in the bank account today, I think I'm good. It's the lack of the forward planning.
Okay, so lack of discipline around your financials.
Yes. Yeah.
When you say the financials don't make sense, does that mean the expenses don't match the revenue? Are you, I wouldn't say doing stuff illegal, but just because businesses have a rhythm.
Yeah.
Depending upon any business.
Yep.
You're saying that they don't follow the rhythm. Something's out of whack here. Why is your payroll this, or why is your expenditures that kind of thing?
And the root cause of that could be a couple different things. One is the person that's doing it just isn't doing it right. They are just not accounting properly, or hey, this chart of accounts that you have, like, this is way overcomplicated. Like, we don't need a GL code for every, business, every expense. Like, let's simplify this. Let's consolidate it. But then really and this is not a knock on tax CPAs, but there are a lot of small businesses that are like, I only talk to my tax CPA, my CPA once a year. I'm like, yeah, that's what you're paying for. Like, he or she, they're doing your tax returns. You didn't sign up for them to be your financial advisor throughout the year. And so people like unknowingly relying on the wrong relationship to provide the service that they need.
Right.
And it's like educating, say, hey, here's what you need throughout. Like, every month you should be reconciling your financials and reviewing them with somebody that can explain them to you. And that's, I'd say that's at a higher level, like, that's the biggest issue that we see is the lack of discipline, because it's so easy to just, I'm a business owner. I'm going to go focus on the next sale. That's what makes me money. Like, I'm not going to, I'll worry about this later. And then next thing you know, it's like, it all compounds on itself.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a huge problem.
Yep.
And it goes back to the delegation, and we talk about bottlenecks in companies all the time.
Yeah.
And the founder feels like they need to do everything, but what happens is they fail to do some things that are necessary to make them successful because they don't have the vision or the discipline to delegate and to bring other people in for whatever reason.
Yep.
Is it fear? Are they paralyzed to some degree? Maybe they don't understand.
Yep.
And there's a lot of business owners get into it, and really they shouldn't do it. It's like they needed to, prepare a little more before they jump it's like jumping in the water. You got to learn to swim before you sink. So,
that's exactly right.
And having good, finances, number one. You got to have your financials in order, because if anything can sink your startup, it's having bad financials.
That's right.
Or getting in trouble with taxes. The other thing I've run into, not me personally, but other people I've noticed, is that they didn't save their money for taxes. They make money, but they didn't pay forward in their estimate payments.
Yes.
And then they get like this large bill, and not only that, they have to pay for the next year too. They don't have enough money, and then it gets into a cycle where you're in debt into the government. It's like, that's the kind of thing they need to educate them a little more. And I don't think like schools, even maybe colleges do, but just paying taxes and understanding, like, if you make more than you did last year, then guess what? You're going to have to pay more in tax, but also more in estimates.
Yes.
In April, guess what? Q1 of the next year is due, just like the remainder of last year.
Exactly.
Nobody tells you these things until you get into it. And then, oh, by the way, Q2 is in June. Q3 is in September. It's like, oh my God.
Yes.
Where's this money going to come from?
Yeah, exactly. And then also the same with payroll taxes.
Yeah.
You're withholding this stuff, like, if you don't have, thank God, we've got all this technology now and software that can like automate a lot of it. But I mean, what you're saying, that goes back to the future, like the planning. It's like, you got $300,000 in the bank account right now. That's great. But like, here's what your cash flow looks like for the next 3 months. You got all these investments and expenses and estimated payments and stuff. And it's like, you're actually, you're kind of squeaking by right now.
I do think high schools, both public and private, need to do a better job at financial literacy, because I think kids today are coming out and they have no clue how to balance a checkbook.
I know.
Even if they have an account, like, you should have a savings account by the time you're like 5 years old.
Yep.
And you should reconcile it, and you should understand interest and understand compounding.
Mm-hmm.
I talk to people all the time about compounding, whether it's financial compounding, knowledge compounding, skill compounding, and it's like everything compounds.
Yep.
And you just have to like be able to put yourself in that position to benefit from it. But they just don't get it. I don't understand it. It's just, they're not doing a good job. I don't think.
I know.
Yeah.
I mean, taxes, income taxes is generally probably like everybody's biggest fear and unknown. And like, back to your thing, it's like, I never had a class in high school that explained at a very high level, like, income taxes and like, what you should do to be able to prepare for it and so on.
Yeah.
I mean, just very basic stuff.
Yeah, I took accounting in high school as an elective.
Mm-hmm.
me and my buddy, his name was Richie. I was Richie growing up in high school, but so we were best friends, and we were the only two guys in the class. It was all girls, because everybody else took mechanic or shop or something.
Yeah.
It's like, let's go take that accounting class.
Yeah.
But they taught you more about the basics. Like taxes and payroll, and how to do spreadsheets and assets, liabilities, owner's equity. I mean, it was 101 stuff. But you got to have your own chart of accounts,
That's cool.
and settle everything up. So, but no, they should make that mandatory.
Yeah,
for sure,
definitely.
So before we wrap up, I want to know your thoughts on AI and how it's impacting your business, because there's all the podcasts I listen to now. I'm a very techie driven kind of guy.
Mm-hmm.
Some call me a nerd. I guess I'm a nerd. I don't know, but I love the technology side, but I'm concerned about AI, because we talked about Jensen and NVIDIA before we started recording, and you talk to any of those tech guys, Meta, Oracle, Google, Microsoft, and the like, they all are preaching the same thing, that AI is going to consume jobs. Anthropic, OpenAI. I'm so sick and tired of hearing Sam Altman. Like when I hear him talk, it actually, like when you hear like you screech, like a chalkboard.
Yes.
And the kind of that icky feeling.
Yes.
When I hear Sam Altman talk, that's how I feel now. It's like I just turn it off. Like I can't even stand hearing the guy talk.
Yeah.
But what are your thoughts about this? Like, is it real? Are you seeing impacts? Because I kind of think some of it is bullshit a little bit.
Yep.
There's some improvements of optimization and operational things, but I mean, is it going to kill everybody's job? I don't think so.
Yeah.
It's going to create jobs. I mean, it's going to take a time to kind of develop those new labor cats and how things evolve. But like, I'm so sick and tired of hearing all this chat about it's going to kill everybody's job in 18 months or 2 years or whatever. So, but I wanted to see what are the direct impacts are you seeing from your side on the financial side?
So, and that accounting departments have been getting consolidated and replaced with technology for 25, 30 years, maybe even longer, right? But so there's always been this idea of technology replacing like manual processing, and accounting departments are like a key, opportunity to be able to automate, right? With more of the day-to-day stuff. So, but what I've seen specifically is that there's companies that say that they have AI doing your accounting, but they offshore it to the Philippines. Right. And so it's it's literally just low cost labor, and they're calling it AI, and hey, maybe they're developing something and that's cool. But, most small businesses use QuickBooks or Xero or something like that. But, QuickBooks, they've got a ton of automation built into the accounting platform, right? And then all like across the tech stack, you've got your QuickBooks, and then let's say you've got an API to your inventory management, your point of sale system, or like whatever, like with a bunch of builders we work with, they have, co-construct or pro build or, their main like operating system. And, call it AI or call it technology. I mean, the way that those systems communicate and the way that you can exchange data like instantaneously is, it's amazing. And it has literally removed some jobs from some companies, because you don't need that admin person anymore, because, the superintendent puts the information into this, it goes to QuickBooks and all that. But there is this is the question, that I'm like think about every morning now is like, when and how is this really, really going to change our lives? And right now, it has made us much more efficient with our work and much more effective, right? So we're able to do a lot more work in a lot less time. And, our clients see, the benefits of that as well. But at some point in time, is it 2 years? Is it 5 years? Is it 10 years? Like the role of a bookkeeper will be taken over by AI at some point. And the way that I'm thinking about this is, how do we become the company that shepherds all these small businesses through this AI revolution, right? We're the company that knows the right tools, knows how to implement it, knows the security. But at the end of the day, you still need an advisor, because you could use AI to automate a bunch of manual tasks. And hey, it's actually really good at doing analysis as well, and like, running projections and scenarios. But I'm going to drop a Jensen quote from his podcast on Lex Friedman. He said, intelligence is going to become a commodity, right? I mean, like, and I get it, but experience and perspective is not something, that's kind of outside of what we're, experiencing with AI. And so I say all that to say, we can automate all this stuff, but you still need somebody that can, understand, empathize and understand like the true perspective of what people are going through in their business.
Right.
And that's where, our company is going to continue to grow, is we're going to be the experts in AI to help you integrate the systems, because you're going to need somebody to help you do that. Like you started a plumbing company, you got 30 employees, you're killing it, but I don't know how to. AI is cool, but like, how the hell do I use it? Right?
Yeah.
So to your point, it's going to eliminate the bookkeeper job, but it's also creating a job for an advisor to help you figure out the right tools to use and make sure that it's operating the right way.
Yeah. Yeah. It's similar to like when AWS came on the market, and, in the tech world, we had network engineer, we had a systems administrator, and we had a database administrator. 3 distinct jobs doing 3 different things. But when AWS came on board, those 3 labor cats got combined into DevOps. So now we have a DevOps engineer that can basically do a DBA's job, a network job, and an SA job. So I kind of see AI doing similar things, where your labor cats could consolidate because of how the software is automating some things, but it's going to create some new things as well. And even Jensen, to his credit, he made the same comment. He goes, if done right, AI should be creating jobs, not removing jobs. So the CEOs of these large tech companies, to some degree, have an obligation. Like they should be creative in looking for ways to how AI can expand and create versus extract and remove. Because, I mean, the economy depends on that. I mean, think about it. If you wipe out 20% of the economic jobs, like, it would implode. Like, who's going to buy your stuff? Who's going to go to trips to the beach? Who's going to go to the restaurants and go out to eat? Who's going to, go to parks? And nobody. They won't have any money. So it's like, I don't know. It's kind of weird.
Yeah.
To some degree.
I mean, it's really scary, because there are real people losing real jobs, and like, it's sad, and like, you don't want to see that, but it's just gonna happen. Like, it's going that way. And I like what you said about it's, the responsibility of some point for these tech CEOs to, be socially responsible to our, to our communities, be like, hey, how can we use AI to increase the benefit and increase the impact and, create more opportunities for people.
Just to be more creative.
Yeah.
Use it for good, not for bad.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say bad. I would just say, improving productivity and profits by, reducing labor.
Yep. Yeah.
You look at the federal government. I mean, could you wipe out 25% of the federal government jobs and use software? Absolutely.
Yep.
Go to GSA and figure out how many people it takes to order a software package. 3 months and probably 8 different workflows you have to go through for approvals. And you can go down to Staples and buy it for $200. And the government pays $5,000 per unit. Well, because it has to go through those checks and balances. Could you just create Amazon.com for the government, go buy your stuff? Absolutely.
Yep.
but they don't do it because it's a jobs program effectively. And so I think AI, as good as it is providing skills, opportunities, and some new things, it does carry obligation to create new jobs and create opportunity, because we don't need to create an underclass.
Yep.
You know, I mean, that's not worth living. That's not what American values are built for. But I don't want to go on a soapbox.
Yeah. No, I'm with you on that.
Yeah. Well, that's great, man. Well, I appreciate you coming.
Thank you.
Yeah. This has been great.
You did a really good job interviewing and asking questions. And
well, I want to make it conversational instead of
really
kind of going through different questions. I've had interviews before, and it's like I come in with a list of like 10 or 12 questions, and we end up talking about whatever. But I think it's a much better experience when you're just sitting here as a human being and having it's like we could be at a bar and now having a beer and have the same conversation.
Yeah. I've done that before with people. I'm like, man, I wish we were recording this on a podcast, like where you just have like a really good session with somebody.
Yeah.
I'm like, damn, we should have been recording that.
So folks that have been listening to you, how do they contact you? Because I know we've got active users all over the country, and I know your clients are not just based in Wilmington. Anybody could reach out to you. But how are they going to contact you?
LinkedIn's good. Our website, we've got email. My email address is out there. It's Chris at Capone Associates.biz.
Yeah.
But LinkedIn, Instagram, website,
Sounds
all that good stuff.
And we'll have all this in the description for you. But
well, thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you, man. I really appreciate this.
This was fun.
Yep. Enjoy the rest of your week.
Thanks.
Amplified CEO is produced by Topsail Insider, edited by Coastal Carolina Network, and sponsored by Cape Fear Ventures. For more information about Amplified CEO, Richard Stroupe, or Cape Fear Ventures, please contact Krista at 910-800-0111 or Krista at topsailinsider.com.